Hey everyone, welcome back to Strategy Daily. My name is At, and in this video, we're going to talk about the MicroStrategy rebrand to Strategy and how that also led me to rebranding this channel, and I will explain why at the end of the video. But first, this was huge news that Strategy did such a good job at keeping a secret. I mean, there wasn't a single leak about this development, and it sort of hit the internet by storm yesterday before earnings. Now, I know a lot of people are asking the question about the stock ticker, and there has been no indication that they are changing away from MSTR as their ticker. I personally would love for it to be changed to like STR, but no one asked me. They dropped the micro, which Phong said is 40% fewer syllables, and added the Bitcoin B to the logo to signify that the company is fully embracing their Bitcoin strategy. And yes, it did start a great meme on X. This one from Van Eck is pretty good. They also dropped the MicroStrategy Red and rebranded to Bitcoin Orange with black and white accents, which I think looks phenomenal. This rebrand makes Strategy feel like the Bitcoin stock, the Bitcoin treasury company. And when you look at a list of publicly traded companies that hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, there is Strategy and everyone else. It is truly remarkable how no one has decided to follow Saylor with real size, like 50,000 plus Bitcoin size. And this would cost around $10 billion to initiate and execute. This will come in the future, but when Bitcoin is probably worth much more. But why did they rebrand? Watch these clips from Phong and Michael last night in the earnings call when they explained it themselves.
Today, the company is excited to announce its rebrand as Strategy for the following reasons. One, simplicity. Strategy is a single word, easy to remember, and has 40% fewer letters than MicroStrategy. Since Strategy is the second half of MicroStrategy's historical brand name, it would represent an evolution, but not a complete change or break from our past. So today, Strategy is the world's first and largest Bitcoin treasury company.
I want to say a few words about our Strategy rebrand. We have become a global brand. People recognize Strategy in South America, in Europe, in Asia, all across the world, all across the US. And so this is a very logical development. Strategy is easier to say, easier to spell, easier to find, easier to remember. I've been 30 years in the business, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone refer to MicroStrategies and get the plural wrong and spell it wrong. And I think that this particular instantiation and elegant evolution of our brand is going to allow us to reach a much broader group of customers, investors, and partners. And I also think it ties our identity much more closely to Bitcoin and all of the positive aspects of the Bitcoin network in the world. And so I think this is going to be very, very helpful for us in communication.
You know, another reason why I think they probably rebranded is that this is not a micro strategy. This is a macro strategy. This is a huge strategy of accumulating as much of the most pristine capital on the planet to then deploy in the future Bitcoinized economy. In my mind, MicroStrategy still kind of feels like a failed software business that had to pivot to Bitcoin in order to save itself. And although that is true, this rebrand shows like this new birth, how they are fully embracing this new Bitcoin plan, and these treasury operations are the core of their business. And another interesting thing I saw on X yesterday was an idea from Michael Sullivan, who said that in marketing, there's something called a bridge brand, which is a brand or logo that a company uses to transition from one identity to another. He says, I think the final form will be obvious once you see it: Strategy Bank. Strategy is too generic of a word for me to like it in the long run, but I do think Strategy Bank is a killer name. And we know that right now, and probably for the next decade, they are in the Bitcoin acquisition phase, and there will be a time in the future, probably still a decade out, where it will be appropriate to deploy that capital. And on X last night, I posted that Strategy feels like a $100 billion startup. They finally figured out their business plan as a Bitcoin treasury company last quarter. Yesterday, they finally finished their branding, and they are still aggressively raising capital. That's a startup. With this rebrand, Strategy set up a new website, and they launched two important and innovative features. The first is MSTR metrics. This is a very important dashboard that shows statistics about Strategy, the stock market, and then also Bitcoin. It shows things like the stock price, price, the 3-month and 1-year returns, how much Bitcoin they have, what their NAV is worth. So right now it's at around 45 billion. There are also metrics for Bitcoin, the current year-to-date Bitcoin yield, how much debt they have, where they outline all of the important information about their convertible notes. There's even a part of this dashboard that compares strategy to the Magnificent Seven and other indices, and it looks at returns, it looks at the Sharpe ratio, it looks at the open interest. They even have a specific tab that shows you information about the options market. On this page, they have some charts, and at this point, they're just bragging when they're looking at their returns. You can compare the Sharpe ratio, you can compare implied volatility. They also took inspiration from Saylor Tracker, and they have this page that shows where they purchased Bitcoin at. They also have a very detailed list of every time they've announced the purchase, how many Bitcoin they bought, the average cost, and what the Bitcoin yield and Bitcoin gain is to date. Overall, they took inspiration from Saylor Tracker and MSTR Tracker from our friend Radu, and it's impressive that Strategy is kind of the first company, and they mentioned this on the earnings call last night, they're the first company that has kind of publicly presented this information, where beforehand you'd have to go to a third-party website that had the data and published it. But right now we kind of have a one-stop shop where we can go and it's updated internally. Another fun thing that they launched was merch, and listen to what Phong said about having merch.
Alongside our rebranding, we're excited to launch the official Strategy merchandise store, a reflection of our commitment to our passionate retail shareholders who take pride in being part of our journey. Just as sports fans proudly represent their favorite teams, our shareholders and employees and customers want to showcase their support for Bitcoin and for us. Our store will feature a curated collection of strategy apparel, accessories, and gear designed for those who share our vision. You can now visit the store at store.strategy.com.
So this is kind of like a sports team, except we're all invested in the same stock. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I will say that this merch is actually impressive. When I do look at the apparel, I'm looking at the quarter zip and the vest. I do think Strategy has a better logo look to it than MicroStrategy did. And overall, if you want to support MicroStrategy and help them buy more Bitcoin, you can buy a Yeti or a water bottle or a backpack. Overall, I'm super thrilled with this rebrand. I think it's very important for the future of the company. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I can understand that the word strategy is a little generic. It's not super unique, but I think it's simple, it's straightforward, it's clean, it's modern, and I think it tells a story about how far MicroStrategy has come. Okay, let's talk about the channel rebranding with strategy. So originally when I started this channel, I called it MSTR Daily because MicroStrategy Daily was kind of a mouthful that had a ton of syllables in it. So if I wanted to share the name of the channel or talk about it quick, I wanted to say MSTR Daily. But now when they've shortened the name, I want to actually return to Strategy Daily. I think it rolls off the tongue a lot better. I like the new logo. So I have gone and I've updated most of my socials here, and so now this channel is Strategy Daily. MSTR Pro will still be called MSTR Pro because that is still the ticker, and it'll differentiate itself from the channel a little bit more. But going forward, the channel is going to be called Strategy Daily. And by the way, if you want to see my personal MSTR options portfolio, then check out MSTR Pro. Right now, I am in the share and wealth accumulation phase, but eventually I will transition to selling cash secured puts and covered calls. And so if you want to be along for that journey and see what I do, then go ahead and check out MSTR Pro in the description below. And with that, let me know what you think about this rebrand in the comment section below. I really like it. I do think that there are a few things that are a little confusing and don't make a lot of sense, but overall, I think it's a net positive for the company and it tells a story about where they're going in the future. So with that, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.